Welcome to the Sports Card Lessons Podcast. I'm your host, Big Ken. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on a streaming service, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You'll be notified whenever I drop any new content. Welcome, and thanks for being here. Excited today, and as promised, I brought back friend of the show, Brad from Outlaws _sports _underscore cards, all plural. Brad, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good today. Like I said earlier, less tired than yesterday, that's for sure. So, today's a good day. Waking up again to first place Rangers, so we're okay today. We're happy. The Jets won last night, yesterday afternoon.
Yeah.
While we were watching the game in the rain. Well, you were driving home, but
yeah. Well, you could tell I don't have my Arrowhead Stadium behind me. I said I want to keep that on, and as long as the Chiefs keep winning, and now they've started losing, so I got to change this up because now I'm going to be at Gillette Stadium Sunday for the game. I'm hoping I can come back and put my Arrowhead back up again. But until
I wonder
now,
if the card market is going to react to Mahomes acting like a crybaby over the play of the missed call. Because I would love to see the card market now start selling all his cards because he acted like that, which would be great.
Come on, man. Have you not watched Tom Brady for the last 20 years? Sometimes it just takes someone like that to really, and the rest of the team around them to say, okay, he is human, right? He is. And he's so passionate about it. It's not about the one play. It's about the frustration of everything that's going on with people dropping the ball. And it's just building up. Maybe that's going to make a difference to the people playing around them to want to step up a little.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's the second game that Kadarius Toney has cost the Chiefs W's in. Is that correct? Might be that 2 W's that he personally has cost them. Is that possible? Or?
Well, that's what happens when you go get a guy from the Giants.
I'm a Jets fan, so amen to that. A lot of our guys like to leave the Jets and go to the Giants, and they end up not so great.
And there. Even my Giants fans aren't even going to be offended because they were like, "Thanks for taking them. Like, thanks for paying us something to take them off our hands." So they're not even be offended with that statement. But
usually, like when the Jets players cast off other teams, and they're really good with the Jets, they usually end up like winning Super Bowls on other teams. There's lots of history of guys playing 7-8 years with the Jets and then winning their ring somewhere else. So
yeah. Well, a lot of them not either, right? A lot of bad decisions over there in the Jets.
I'm 49, and I've seen it. I remember watching since I was 5, so I don't know if I've seen a whole lot of good decisions, except I don't know. There's a few plays, but that's about
it. So you mentioned your age, right? So guys our age trying to do 2-day shows. Right, man. It just takes, and I've talked about this for the last couple of years. It just takes a lot out of you to do two. You know what? And I make that decision not to stay in a hotel, to drive back and forth. So it's we're from. I think we're both equally distant from, where the show is at Hofstra at Long Island.
2 hours, about 2 hours for me. Yeah, hour 45.
I mean, in the morning, it's like an hour 40, hour 30, hour 40 minutes to get there. And then coming home, it's like 3 hours.
2 hours 20 for me.
It's like stuck in traffic the whole time.
And the Bell Parkway, I don't know. You don't have to go on the Belt, but the Bell Parkway for me, I mean, that is, and I drive in New Jersey my entire life, and I've driven in New York, everywhere. But the Bell Parkway, I feel like is just, you could get, like a live mine could just be in the middle of the road somewhere, and you're just going to go flying. It's just crazy. And these little bricks, it's like really any type of, if you have even 1% anxiety and you drive to Hofstra from North Jersey or South Jersey, that is like major meds needed for that.
Well, I don't know. I take like 7 highways, right?
I don't like
and going there in the morning. On my way there in the morning, it takes me one completely different. I'm down Route 8 to 95 to Throg's Neck, and then like 9 different highways. But then coming home, it takes me a whole different way. It wants to bring me out to 287 to 684. It wants to bring me all the way. It doesn't matter. It's just so swamped with traffic.
There's no good way to get there. Trust me. There's no, maybe by boat. That's about
it. So it's tiring, and you got to get up early, you got to get down, you got to get back. The last couple of times I went to Hofstra, I stayed. That I did the 2 days. I got a hotel, and I probably should have done that this time. I probably wouldn't have been so exhausted because I think the both of us, we just talked before we came on. The both of us got home Sunday and both fell asleep. Within an hour of getting home. Right. I mean, it's just 2 long days with a lot of driving.
Yeah, and I don't complain about it either. Like I purposely choose to drive. I'd rather sleep in my own bed for 6 hours than to sleep in a hotel room and get a good night's sleep. I don't think I will, just me personally.
Yeah.
And I like to feel that way, comfortable. At night I sleep better. I go home, I get to regroup. I don't know, and I feel better just getting back. So yeah,
Yeah.
but it was and the weather too, with the rain. Getting out of there yesterday was a pain, but that's not, I guess, a normal experience. White Plains is a big show, and that was also difficult. We didn't have weather there either. So, I mean, there's always going to be something, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So we get down there. We both arrive Saturday morning, right? We set up. We're excited. We got tons of product, ready to move, ready to make some sales. Doors open at 10. And it was crickets for a little while, right?
Legit.
Yeah, legit
If I
crickets.
yelled across the room, you could have heard me yelling. And there was a big room, and you could have heard me yell across that room, "Who's here?"
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, when I went to the Gillette show and I did that with Jordan at Zips Cards, and I said, I don't have a good feeling about this show. I really think that it's going to be slow and it's just not going to be, a good show. And we got there and the place was rocking. There was people coming and going, right? And so on this one, I'm getting all excited because this is Hofstra.
That's how I felt too, excited.
Right. I've never gone to the Hofstra without it being, packed for most
and
of
New
the
England was
day.
packed and Philly was packed. So leading up into this, here we go. Everyone's going to just converge on Hofstra from both. Right. That's how I felt.
Yeah. And then it didn't happen, right? Nobody showed up. And then the first band of people come through are the ones that are hoping to get that deal, right? That come up and say, "Oh, you're asking 500? I'll give you 200." Right? Or what's the comp on it? 250? I'll give you 100.
Right. I had a few of those.
Who was your guy? What was he wearing?
Oh yeah, I won't even say his name because we set up with him all the time, so he's a dealer. But he had some bad behavior by another dealer. We'll get to him later.
Yeah. So we get that wave through and probably I think it did get busy maybe from 12 to 2 on Saturday, right?
I was busy from 10:30 to 1:32. I had actually said to Joe, who we'll reference later, who was in between us, I said to Joe, you know what? This is weird. I usually, even when we're busy, find myself spending so much time even able to talk to Ken and the people around me. I was so busy that I didn't even I didn't realize what was happening around me. Joe's like, well, we went and ate and had pizza and you're still going crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, and I want to say too, you know what? We should just talk a little bit about our inventory because we both had completely different experiences, but we both have completely different inventory too. So just talk a little bit about what you had over there for inventory.
So I had an 8-foot like you. I had 3 showcases. My showcases were a mix of slabs, ranging from 100 and up, but I had a 54 Bowman mantle, and I had a 53 satchel, and I had some high end big boy cards like the jambalayas and stuff like that. But I also had a mixture of affordable cards and stuff. But I also had some great boxes. We won't call them value boxes because they're not really value, but we'll call them not showcase material, but they're not dollar cards. I had a lot of $20 to $100 patches and autos and really cool inserts, mags, and really clean stuff. And people they like going through it. And I had all different sports patches, a lot of older stuff, a lot of Hall of Famers, a lot of names that are not current. And the current stuff I had, it's low end anyway. Not a ton of hockey at this show for me. A lot more vintage for me than normal, but still pushing with what I like. I'm still bringing the cards that I like. I'm not going to let the marketplace dictate a lot of my inventory. So you'll see in my boxes, it's still stuff that Brad likes. I'll be okay if he told me to die with it. So
yeah. So I noticed you had a lot of slabs. You probably had a couple hundred slabs, right, in boxes.
I brought extra the second day because I sold a bunch the first day, and I had also have acquired recently a lot of lower end slabs. So I like to bring those to hit all price points for people. And sometimes the best way is not $1,000 sales. The best sales that I've always had at shows, how you pay your rent is $10 cards and $20 cards. That it doesn't matter. The test of time is you got to have the cards that sell to people, and there's always someone that wants a $10 off brand mint 10 of some card for $10. It's cool. And I never appreciated that stuff as a collector or an investor, but as a business owner, you want to offer all price points to people, and That's important for me. But yes, a lot of slabs, but a lot of raw too. A lot of raw. I had a lot. I mean, I had two, 3 rows on the table, all magged up and top loaded. That's so you're talking. That's a lot of cards. A lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah. Yeah. So on the flip side, on my table, I've got 3 cases,
Right.
and I had one box with discounted slabs in it, that had hockey on one side and pop culture on the other side, and then I had one box with just all pop culture singles top
Mhm.
loaded. And then just my 3 cases. I mean, I was really going down there in my mind. I'm like, I've got a lot of good graded cards. I had a lot of hockey. I had a full case of hockey. I had a full case of football with a couple of basketball cards in there, and then I had a case of pop culture. Um, so historically, I knew the pop culture didn't do well at this show because I've been to this show many times before, and it's just a hit or miss on something like that. But out of my discount boxes, I sold a lot of singles, so people really, they were attracted to that in the discount boxes, but not in my pop culture. So hockey, I sold one hockey card out of a full case the whole day. I sold one hockey. I
Wow.
mean, the whole weekend. And my football, I sold most of my low end football, everything up to $300, all sold. Um, and then I was left with that handful of, the 1,500, the 1,800, the 2,500, the 3,000, the 5,000. Those cards, they stayed in the case. Had a lot of offers on them. A lot of
And they're
people.
not moving, by the way. They're not moving so much.
No, no, and people who came up to make offers were very low, and they apologized before they made the offer. Kind of
I got
kind
a
of
few of those.
dipping their toes in the water to see if I was willing to
What's the worst thing
sell.
you're going to say? Yes, nice. What's the worst? I've always said if you're polite and respectful, the worst thing you're going to
Yeah.
say is no. Don't throw the phone in my face, and don't throw last comp nonsense. Just talk to me. You
Yeah.
never know. I might say to you, "Hey, I respect the offer, but come up a little bit. Maybe we can make a deal." But
Mhm.
that's not always how it goes, right? So,
Yeah, yeah. And I wasn't certainly over comps on them. You know
no,
what I'm saying? I'm around comps, but people, they just weren't buying those cards. They're just not
uh,
looking to put out that money. And there were a lot of people doing the repack. There were a lot of people doing and I'm gonna honestly say the sales that the bulk sale that I had for a number of football cards came from a guy who was talking about lining these cards. That he takes them and puts them, he puts them out there, and people buy, how many spots at how much
yeah, it's
money
a
they
Raz.
eat.
It's called a Raz. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Raz would it equal?
A
I mean,
Raz.
he was explaining. I've seen it. He was explaining it to me, and kept saying, I have to give 10% back, so I have to be at 90 I have to be better than 90% to make money. So I said, maybe I'm not. If we're talking 88%, we're good. If we're talking 75 or 80, I'm not your guy. And he went through and he looked and he left and he came back and a third and he walked away and he came back and a third time he came back and said, well, if we add more cards, where can we be at? And we were at we ended up making a deal on the cards. I don't think the deal was the best deal for him, but I think it was the cards he wanted. It was the Mahomes. It was the Jalen Hurts. These are the cards, that he wanted to get. So I think after walking around and not being able to do this anywhere else, he came back and said, "Okay, I'm willing to pay a little more. Let's talk again. Let's work out a deal." So we worked out a deal. It ended up being very good, lucrative to me. So I sold, in that deal, I think I sold like 7 or 8 cards to him. That totaled about, $2,000,
Fantastic.
$2,200,
Great deal.
and so that worked out for me. I mean, if it wasn't for him, my weekend would have been terrible.
Right. Okay.
Honestly, it would have been
I believe
terrible
that.
because that's what I was selling. And a lot of people showed up and said, "Are you buying hockey?" And I was kind of directing them to you because at this
Me.
point, for me, it's too late in the season to buy hockey, and the hockey I have, that window of opportunity is going to close. So if I don't move these hockey cards in the next month or two, I may have to take a trip to Toronto,
Right.
in the
In
early
April.
Right,
April.
yeah, in April, and do what I did last year and move all the hockey cards because I'm kind of a seasonal guy, right? I wanna do the hockey, I wanna get it done with, and then I wanna get back into football, and I don't wanna be, trying to run hockey when it's the end of the season and people, the prices are down and people are not looking for that type of thing.
Yeah, so I just avoid that game almost entirely as much as I can. So I buy again everything I buy, as you know, is a lot of Hall of Famers and names or those potential. Some of the stuff you see is not, but so I don't mind. I bought this card. I don't mind buying this card over the weekend because I love him. I think he's going to
Yeah.
be great. Even as a Rangers fan, I bought it. The card's down, team's down. They're out of the
Mhm.
playoffs right now. You know what? Market's down in cards. I don't mind ever having, cards like that in my case from hockey, but I get with you on the other side. Like, now's not the best time to wanting to be buying like
Yeah.
any type of like speculative type hockey. I think
Yeah.
that's games played, but it's always about the quality of the card for me. So I'm buying hockey, but a lot of people you sent to me were showing me stuff that neither one of us would be interested at this moment in time. Maybe 6 months ago, we might have bought all of it, but right
Yeah.
now I'm
Yeah.
with you. So I was very picky in my hockey purchases. My other hockey purchase this weekend was the same guy, a different person, was a Gordie Howe slab card and a Sawchuck raw, third year Parkey. But like that's not hockey cards, that's vintage, right? And
Vintage, yeah.
sadly is so upset. The Gordy was an inexpensive card, but I bought it very correctly, and you just don't see him that much. And it was even in a low grade, but I sold it for like a
Yeah.
$40 profit right away. And as soon as the guy walked away, I'm like, that was dumb. I just get mad because I like that. I like the cards. I liked
Yeah.
it. And sometimes the $40 profit isn't about it. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
like go find me another one of those not on eBay.
Mm. Were you surprised like I was surprised that, Jack Hughes in this area, usually all the time, he's what people are looking for, what people are asking for, Jack Hughes. And I have about 6 or 7 cards in there, and people came up, oh my God, beautiful, Jack, you
They don't
beautiful.
want to pay. They don't want to pay.
No, and then they
The
moved
price point.
on, and then I was surprised. The one hockey card I did sell was an Ovechkin, which was, I felt, you know, a lot of the Ovechkin cards that I had are very limited cards, right? There's not a lot of comps on them there, but you get the right person and now here it is. And I say this all the time. And I knew this person bought this Ovechkin because he was collecting the card and he had a list of all the cards he was looking for and he went through. So I said I sold one, but I also had, which is very interesting. I had, a whole bunch of hockey cards that were in-person autos that I would put out at show after show after show, and people not interested. But I bring them to the show with me anyways, just in case someone says, "Hey, do you have any?" or "This is what I'm looking for," or if they mention a certain player, I could say, "Oh yeah, I have it." And I got to talking with one of the people at the table, and they said, "Oh, I love the in-person auto stuff." I said, "Hold on, I got something for you," and I pulled it out and I put them out, and he bought about 8 of them, and there was another guy standing next to him who was looking, and when he walked away, he said, "Can I see those? Can you hand those back out?" He goes, "That's my thing." He goes, "I don't know why you don't have those out on the table." So then he went through it. He bought him another 4 or 5 of them, and he left. And I'm like, "Well, this is great." I put them on the table. Not one person came back, and yeah, and so it's just interesting that you really don't know, you know, what to put out there and who's coming. But both of these guys and the guy who bought the Ovechkin, after having conversations with them, they were all collectors. They weren't buying these cards to go flip.
A lot of collectors this
Yeah, they
weekend.
weren't buying these cars to go flip them. They were buying these cars to put into their PC at home.
You know, I told a few people that right in front of them. I said, like, I took a little bit less on cards like that I would want because when I was having conversations with some of these folks, they were collectors. You could tell in the conversation there was no BS. These are not, oh, this is PC, like the nonsense you get from. No, these are collectors. You could tell the cards they were looking at. There was a theme. There was a tone in their voice and their behavior. They were not playing poker well from that perspective. But then you realize, like, I have something that a collector wants. I'm at, 220 and he's at 190. But some repacker's going to come around in 2 weeks if I don't sell this stuff and pay me 175, and I'll be happy with that too because I'm still making profit. So you think about that process, you realize, you know what? I let the guy take it. I said, you know what? Just take it at 190. I'm happy to let it go to a collector because it's going to a good home. So I saw a lot of that this week. I had a few sales. Actually had someone pick up a Piazza Dynasty card right in front of somebody who was looking at it, I think, as a flip opportunity. And this guy grabbed it at the same price I was kind of showing it to him at, because he's like, that card, if it didn't go to that guy, it would end up in a repack or probably in somebody's Raz or a flip. Yep. This guy actually wanted the card. He said all he buys is Dynasty Mets cards. I couldn't let this dude have it, even for $10 more. You know, it didn't make sense. So
yeah.
A lot of that, had a lot of that. People looking for PC stuff this weekend. But you're right. It was so weird because I brought hockey cards the second day because I thought Richter was going to be there and people would want hockey cards. And
what happened? Did he not show up? What?
No, just nobody wanted any hockey cards.
No, for Richter.
I thought he was there. He was there, wasn't he? There was a line for him, wasn't he?
Oh, was he? Okay, because somebody else was there and said, "What happened to?" They asked me what happened to him because I noticed.
Oh, he came and went. He signed. It was fast. Like he. Had
I noticed that autograph line in all the shows that we've done there. There's just mobbed with people over there, and then this weekend there wasn't.
You know what? Though I would say though he did a good job. He kind of keeps it separate at this show at Hofstra. Like White Plains, it's hard because you go down that aisle and there's only so many places to hide. But at Hofstra, they had all those lines wrapped up with the blue fencing, and it was really nice and neat. And they could have, honestly, there could have been hundreds of people over there, and we never would have known, Ken, because they were really tucked away. It was a big room, and a lot of noise echoed. So once that room had a few people in it, I mean, they could have taken snapshots.
I've been there for a show. You know when people are. I mean, I've seen that area just completely packed with people.
Yeah,
and then people lined up very, very early.
It wasn't a big signing show, though. There was only a couple big names. I mean, it was Benito Santiago Saturday, which was cool, but he's not huge. And I think Richter on Sunday. Somebody else was there Sunday. I don't know. I try not to get too involved with it. I just autograph people don't usually come around by the tables too much. So they're usually not there to buy. They're usually, they come with their bats in their case or their hockey stick in their cases. You know when the person walking around is head to toe Rangers gear with a Rangers bag and a Rangers flag, and he's got two bags on his side full of Rangers stuff. Like they're not there to buy anything.
Dragging one little kid behind him. Come on, keep it up. In his Richter jersey, and the kid's 3 years old, doesn't even know who What's a Richter? It's a scale.
Spelled different. Spelled the same? I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, I thought Saturday was a blast. I had a great time Saturday.
Yeah.
Bad behavior from a dealer. Just like you got to know your audience. Like when you're a dealer, we know who we're talking to, we know who we're dealing with. But when you're setting up at shows in the tri-state area, and whether you like it or not, you're going to run into a lot of the same people all the time. And this guy's typical. He does this at all the shows. I won't call him out because he's bigger than me. But like literally walks up every show, asks for the same. I won't say the name because if I say who he's asking for, everyone who in our area will know who it is.
Yeah.
Same player. Yeah, I got one right here. Goes, what are you asking for that? Like $2,000 tops. I'm like, what? The card has a comp of like $7,000. He's like legit, like spit my. What are you fucking crazy? What are you crazy? Kind of like literally price bashed me right at the table. And I'm like, dude, aren't you a dealer? Like, do you really walk up to people's tables and bash prices without even knowing what you're doing? And he kept on walking like he was too good for me. But like, I said I was going to call him out in the show. I won't do it because I'm a nice guy like that. But if you see a dude with like a red hair and a red beard, and he likes to buy a certain team from the West Coast, and he's a low baller, just tell him to walk away. That's his bad behavior. Like, it was rude, nasty. Like, we're all friends. There's a couple other dudes like that too. I won't say the other guy's name. Just if you can't act cool with the dealers, just get out of the hobby. Get out of the hobby. Go on eBay, because that has no place for stuff. And he was like, no. And I said it to somebody, and they're like, oh, he does that to everybody. So I'm like, how is this acceptable? Why does not somebody like sell this guy? Like, dude, go away. Yeah, him, bad behavior. We had you, of course. My favorite scene of the weekend was, I was hoping to show up Sunday. Really was hoping to see you show up with like some type of like floral shirt, some type of like white like lotion on your nose, and like a whistle in your mouth. Because anyone who was at the show on Sunday, I stand, I don't sit. But Ken, He went a little different in a chair this time. He went with like
No,
some
it's
type
not
of.
this. It's not this time. I've had my listeners know this
Oh, so
chair.
I've never seen the lifeguard chair before, but let me tell you,
It's
Big
the
Ken looks like a freaking
it's the
lifeguard this
director's
weekend.
it's the director's chair. I mean,
Every
you can refer
time
to it.
somebody would walk around, we'd start. The floor was blue too, so it's like, oh, I'm drowning. Ken, help me. I mean, like we had a whole audience over there thinking Ken was like a real lifeguard. I mean, it was crazy. Big Ken
But
in a lifeguard chair.
let me ask you, Brad. Come Sunday, late in the day, how did your feet and your legs and your knees and your
I
hips
was
feel?
envious of you that you sat there in a
And that's the reason I bring it, right?
just to piss me off.
I no, it's if I stand there for 2 days,
Oh, I get it.
then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the next week, I mean, I'm feeling it. I'm hurting. I mean, you're
Yeah.
standing all day long. You know, when I go out when I this past year and the year before at the National, 5 days, after 2 days or 3 days, I'm getting up in the morning and I'm really feeling, just from standing all day long.
It's too much.
So you need a chair. Like I don't sit in that chair all day. I'm moving around and I'll get up and do things. But if it's slow and I can sit down for a bit, I do. It just relieves the.
I've learned the first few shows I set up at, I was so well prepared. I think the last few shows I've just gotten so engrossed in the cards that I forgot about like important things. I'm not hydrating myself during the show. I forgot to bring food this show. So like the first day I didn't eat all day and I was hungry, but normally I bring like a salad or a snack or a granola bar, anything just to keep busy, and I didn't. So that was hard for me. And then waking up Sunday was harder. But Sunday, again, same thing. I woke up, I brought a little bag of pirate booty and a couple of drinks, and I ended up saying the same thing to myself, like, you got to prepare better. I mean, like, I know we're not athletes, but if you're going to be in a room all day and be on alert and you're dealing with money, psychologically, physically, you got to take care of yourself. And shame on me this weekend for not taking care of that, because I think I actually could have done better for myself, on Sunday night and this morning if I had ate a little bit and drank a little bit, brought a snack or two. And I did not walk around a lot either. I stood a lot, but I didn't leave the square a lot. And I think I needed to spend some time just to move and get my heart going a little bit. So I think we need to know that.
When I go to these shows, I have my little lunch bag that I get up and I usually spend 15-20 minutes, preparing, waters and drinks.
I always do it, not this time. And I'm extreme on me
in there. Yeah. And I know, I mean, they're long days. And if here's the backside of it. What are these shows? The only thing they ever sell there are chicken fingers, French fries,
greasy food like that. Yep.
Churros. I mean, just all the crap that you shouldn't be eating. So
I don't eat it. I don't eat that stuff anyway. So
if you don't prepare and bring all this stuff, then you end up making bad decisions. So
yeah, and I think it's almost funny. Like, we got to do a better job. Like this, I tell everybody my favorite setups are square setups. If you are a show promoter out there listening, and you want maybe me and Ken to come, I don't know about you, Ken, and some of the friends that I like to hang out with at shows, set up a square, set up squares like Hofstra, like White Plains. That's just a great camaraderie feel. You're in the square with people. You kind of like get that little feel. I think it's an awesome, fun time. So as a dealer, I like that setup a lot. Makes me want to come to your show because I just like that we're all together. But so we as a group got to do better. Like, hey, you know what? It's 11 o'clock. Let's get something to eat. Let's find a restaurant. Like, we just, as a group, we're all together all day. Like, we got to do a better job making sure, like, hey, let's order something to eat. Someone go to pick up the food at the front. And, we don't do that. And it's like poor by us that we don't even think about it,
And what's nice about that too, which I think more than anything, is the coverage.
Yeah.
Right. When you're in a square like that, you've got a lot of people, there are a lot of eyes on. And if I say, hey, I got to run to the bathroom, or I want to go pick this up, or I got to go talk to this guy, somebody's there is like, oh, I got you. Like, I'll watch your stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like John behind the diamond, who was our host this weekend in the square, was awesome. He wasn't there for part of the day Saturday, and I was helping out a little bit. And then Sunday, he had some other things. And there was points where I was actually covering his table for him, which was fine. Made a couple sales, but John's comfortable enough knowing that we're there.
Yep.
He's got, you were there, I'm there. He met Joe, Austin's next to him. Little John's over there. Everyone knows that, like, we're not going to let anyone steal or disrupt anything from any of us. And I can't say that about other squares, but I love that setup because, John's, and he says, hey, I'm going to put you in the square. It's not about money or business. This is about trust. Like, I can leave a backpack with a card in it or money in it and walk away. And Ken's not going to, not only is Ken going to watch, he's not going to touch it.
Yeah,
We're
absolutely.
all very comfortable with that. And
Yeah,
that's why I love this setup too. It's just that feeling where almost like we're not together, but we are. And I like
yeah.
that. It's just a great feeling to go to shows. I think more shows should adopt that. I really do.
Mhm.
I think it's a great way to, and then you can build your own square. It's almost like building a team. It's fun.
Yeah, yeah, and I think most shows, I think it's, makes more sense to line those tables
Of
up
course
in a
it does.
row. They get more tables in, and
Of course it does. I get
yeah.
it. I
But
get it.
if you see the way Hofstra's set up and White
Just like White
Plains,
Plains.
and even when Gillette Stadium was the same way, where they make that square, so it's not only do you have a row, you have an aisle in front of you, an aisle back, but the cross aisles too.
Also, like the Nationals have those squares too,
Yep,
like that, right?
same
So,
thing.
I mean,
Yeah.
and also goes to say, like Jimmy, they JPR, they run these shows. Now he's running the National too. It's a great theme, and I love the setup. So goes to show. I mean, Jimmy was running the shows like this at Hofstra and White Plains and AC with this setup way before he was running the National show. And
Mhm.
he's had this adoption. He's
Yeah.
always done it this way, and I love it. And I got to speak to Jimmy on Sunday too. And even though it was a little quieter, he just does. He puts up a good job. I mean, the security's great. They have porters to help you in and out. The gates are good. The prices are fair. It's always decently lit and attended. The air, just bathrooms are clean.
Yep.
I always give a shout out to them because you cannot ever blame a JPR show for not being attended on JPR because they do everything in their power and everyone in the world knows they're having a show. If you're
Yep.
asking when his shows are, then that's because that's on you. The whole world knows about his shows. So
Yep.
I always just think it's about his shows will be bad on attendance based on the world around it, nothing
Yeah.
else. Everybody
Yeah.
knows his White Plains show is, and Hofstra, everybody knows. It's
Yeah.
market calendars,
So speaking of that, so when you look at a show and you go to a show and you say, I had a great show, I had a bad show, how do you come up with that? When you think about a show and you could do for this weekend or any show, do you base it on sales? Do you base it on foot traffic? Do you base it on interaction? Uh, what is it that you base
That's a
how
great
well you
question.
did?
For me,
Yeah.
number one, when I come home, do I want to go back to that show? So if I come home, I don't care about the dollars. I don't care about anything. If I come home and said, I had such a great time, I want to set up that show. That's my answer. If I came home and said, I did not have a good time, no matter about the sales, I want to not set up there again. And I've only done, a few different locations this year. And I already have a show. And I'm not going to say because they're nice people. There's already a show that I don't want to set up at again. It wasn't because of the dollar sales. People that knew me there knew I had, for what was there, I did a decent day. But, I just didn't have fun. Didn't have a good time standing there all day with people around me that we didn't know each other and there was not a lot of camaraderie and there was also no traffic.
Mhm.
So there's not a lot of action. But like, even if Hofstra, I didn't have, you saw my day on Sunday. I had a couple deals of a decent size, but if Sunday was my only day at the show, I would have not been so thrilled with my numbers, but I had a great time on Sunday. I'm
Mhm.
not complaining one bit. I
Yep.
had such a good time talking. I had great conversations with a couple people that good repackers, like repackers that I know what they're buying. I would buy their repacks. I don't buy repacks.
Yep.
Conversations around their products and the price points, and just to educate myself, to not be so ignorant about like what's going on in the hobby right now.
Yep.
A couple younger people in the hobby asking for advice or lending me their opinion. That's some really, 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 really smart kids, like teenagers this weekend, not like trying to hustle and flip type of conversations. Like,
Yeah.
these are some really smart. I mean, I met a kid this weekend and his father. Apologize if he's listening. I do not remember his name. Got to be 15 years old, tall kid. Father and him, almost like so nice. This kid to me looks like he's an Ivy League student in a couple years, hands down. I felt like I was talking to somebody who is already 3 times smarter than me. But that was my day Sunday. I had a great time with it. I mean, how do you not like that? If you're in the
Yeah.
hobby,
Yep.
you want to meet more people like that. It's not about money either. I didn't do one transaction with this. The father and the son were at my table both days for at least 15 to 20 minutes. We did not buy or sell one card to each other. But I sent them across the way to Austin, and as I said, go to Austin. He'll take care of you. Sure enough, they came back around to thank me. Austin and his crew took great care of him. Just like in our little square.
Yeah.
We refer to each other. You send to me. We send across. That was a great experience for me this weekend. So I had a great time. You know,
I know a lot of people would say, would go to a show, and if they didn't sell much, they would complain and say it was all about the money. And for a lot of people it is.
yeah,
And for people, and I do have to say, for people like you and I, that at the end of the day, if we went to a show and we spent all weekend, we didn't sell anything, we could think what we want, but we're going to go home and we're going to be fine. Where some people, that if they don't sell anything, they have to make up for the money that they put out all weekend, and it really weighs on them. But I always say, know the show, right? You need to know the show. So if I go to a show, right, and I'm a content creator doing the podcast and everything else, I love when people are coming up and saying, I listen to you, I love what you're doing. I listen to you, and I have those conversations. To me, setting up at the show is well worth it, because now I'm putting myself out there and letting the people come and meet me in person. Excuse me, meet me in person, right? So now, as a businessman, showing up at a show, if I show up at a show and I don't sell anything, it's my fault. It becomes my fault, because even if it's slow traffic, I've never been to a show and nobody showed up, right? So people are showing up. But if I didn't sell anything, it's my own fault, because either I don't have the right product, the product is priced too high, right? There's some reason why
bingo.
I didn't sell anything.
Not a
So
magic formula, Ken.
when somebody says, I didn't sell anything, this show is horrible, I'll never come back, I always think to myself, maybe you should think about, like, what were you selling? How was it priced? How were you interacting with people? Were you turning people off? Did people, there's got to be a reason you didn't sell anything. By knowing the show, you go back the next time and you'll know, this is what I need to do. So on a show like this, where I said I had some good sales, if I could go back, and this is what I think about on the way home on Sundays, if I could go back on Friday and say, what would have made this show more successful for me? What if I put in my case X, Y, and Z, I would have made a fortune. What would the X, Y, and Z be? That is know the show. That is when I go back to do this show again, I know. And I started out saying, historically, I had a case of pop culture, and historically, it doesn't sell well at Hofstra. So I knew that already. That was almost dead space right there, but I didn't have anything else to put there in that space. So that's why that went out there. I mean, I know football usually sells really well this time of year at Hofstra. Basketball does. I don't do any basketball. Hockey, I was hoping would sell. I didn't sell any of the hockey. The football I did sell, but my price points were off on the football. Not that I didn't have them priced correctly. It's the majority of the higher end stuff I had, people weren't buying those things.
No, they're not. They're always buying. I mean, Ken, I had a 53 satchel, which is an iconic card, and it is. And I'm not just saying it because I want to sell it. I don't really care if I sell it. I'll be happy to keep it forever. It is one of the nicest threes I've seen, color wise. It's gorgeous. Everyone that picked it up loved the card. Even thought my asking price was great. I was willing to take a little bit of an offer on the card. I just think that the price point on all cards right now is different. I think everyone's price point is $200 to $300 and under. And if you talk to, like, my friend Stu from Evolution Marketing, who again always comes out to these shows and always puts money out in the shows and supports the hobby a lot and for business, of course. But he and I are having a long talk about it. He's buying a table, sitting with me for a bit. And, Stu, if you're listening, he'll recall the conversation where we said, he thinks the price point's going to get worse and lower. And, he's a big eBay guy and that's his thing. And he's seeing the traffic is slow. And these are not, I could see it. I don't think it's less people in the hobby or less money. It's just the price points are going down.
Yeah.
So I see in my showcase $1,000 cards that are worth $1,000, that are worth $1,200. I mean, like a Russell Wilson rare prism auto in a slab at a 99, like a rookie prism silver auto, which is a tough card. He's playing great. The cards are comping, $950 to $1,000, and I'll let it go. Way under that, no one wants to bite. It's not because of the cost. It's the cost. It's a dollar price. No one wants to spend $750, $800 on a card right now, unless it's like forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone wants to get caught.
Too. It's the end of the year, right? We're into the holidays, so it's a little bit of a tough time of year too. And I know people coming up saying, wow, that's a great card, I'd like to buy into that.
But not the hobby, right?
Yeah.
It's funny though, it depends on your point in the hobby. If you're a if you're a collector, this is a great time for people to be buying because the dealers are going to be looking to sell, just like you are trying to save money for the holidays. The dealers want to buy their. Do you think I'm giving my wife a Mickey Mantle for the holidays? I think not, Ken. Do you think I'm giving my kids, slabbed Pee Wee Reese cards and Jack Hughes future? No, sir.
Yeah.
So that's not going to fly. So that doesn't work. And a lot of people are in the same boat. You got to work a little harder and sell some cards. I think right now it is still a tremendous buyer's opportunity. And I think I'm starting to see some of the better. It's lasting longer than we thought, or people were not thought. I thought it was going to last this long and longer. But I think some people were hoping the downturn in the cards maybe wouldn't have lasted this long. So now you're going to start to see people having to break out better quality cards because they've already exhausted selling all their speculative stuff at cheaper comps and all their all the modern stuff they want to get rid of. And now, you want to pay your bills. You got to let a Jack Hughes go for, cheap money at 30% under when he should be at 90% all day.
Do you know that I've made, and I think this plays right into what you're saying. I've probably made 6 or 7 deals in this past week on my PC, which is Trinity Rodman cards, which people sending me story sales saying, hey, this guy's got his gold to 10. This guy's got this card, that card. And the prices I'm paying for them, I'm just shaking my head. It's like it's so ridiculously cheap right now. Where these cards last summer during World Cup were selling for $700, $800, $900, and I'm getting them now for $100, for $95. I have the night moves, the Trinity Rodman night moves, right? This is a pop 20 card, right? I own 6 of these right now, so I own the majority
of. Trying to get all 20 of them, Ken?
What's that?
Are you trying to get all 20 of them?
You know what? For the price that I'm picking these up at, if I get all 20 of them, I'll take all 20 of them. Right? I really don't care. It's my, it's what I want to do in my PC.
Listen, I tell you all the time, you buy what you like, Ken. You got to buy what you like.
I talked about, her cards, these cards that I haven't been able to even come close to buying. Right. And last week I got 3 of them, 2 identicals. Right. And one to me was the Holy Grail. Right, that all of a sudden they became available for prices that I'm like, how can I say no?
Because these people are realizing, some of them are thinking, hey, if I don't sell them now, that's it.
It's going to go down even
thinking,
more.
I'm already out. I'm into it for too much, and that's an opportunity for not just for you. I mean, opportunity for everything. People across the board now I don't want to sell certain cards right now, but I mean, honestly, the only reason why I'm selling the cards is because I like buying more. I mean, you buy cards you like, and you end up buying things that you hope you can put away for longer. I mean, for me, the end game is always to buy more cards that I could put away, not to like anything else. To me, it would be always be able to come up home with a card that say, you know what, this will not see the light of day again.
Yeah. And that's what I like. I like being able to go out and now all of a sudden these cards are becoming available. I'll buy them up. And now I'm truly understanding, after going through this whole, three almost 4 years, 3.5 years, right? Of watching the prices and watching them, truly understanding the buyer's market, where the prices are at. Now, of course, I'm not buying Mickey Mantles, right? Or Wayne Gretzky's or Tom Brady's, right? Or Michael Jordan's. I'm buying Trinity Rodman, but still it's the same. These prices were at $800-900. Now they're at $1,200, where, the all those players I just mentioned, those prices are down too. So if these are the cards you wanted to get, now is a great time to buy them. If you're a collector, to buy them, and unless you think the market is going to dip even more, then you can wait just a little bit longer, right? But sooner or later, the people that are holding those cards, if those cards are purely just to sell as a dealer, sooner or later those cards are going to make it back out onto a table or onto eBay or onto Facebook groups or Instagram, or they're going to make it somewhere at the price that they're actually selling for.
For me, it's so niche, and I love niche stuff, but I also surround my niche stuff with a lot of non-niche stuff. I mean, my niche to me is that I think I have a broad array, and I don't have a focus on anything particular, but I know that a lot of the stuff I buy is not like, Jalen Hurts I do own this stuff, not Hurts, but Mahomes. I try not to mess too much with that stuff because as much as I love it, it's cool stuff. I'm not into it. But I also think to be successful in a card show, having it like I learned the very first show I set up this year again was Behind the Diamond at Babylon, and it was earlier in the year, and I had a great show, no complaints. I did really, really well that show, but I had 3 showcases that were loaded with hockey, and what I realized is like if you bring 3 showcases loaded with hockey, you're probably not going to sell as much. So the next show I brought less hockey, and I did good. Then I went to White Plains with you, and I brought everything, all different stuff, and I mean you saw what happened.
But that was in August. That was in August, yeah.
And now I'm learning, like even the shows I've done since then. I did a small Old Bridge show. I did fantastic there, and I sold everything from 50-cent cards on up, and this weekend at Hofstra. So I'm learning too, like what to bring and what not to bring.
Yeah, you're getting to know the show.
Yeah, you have to know, like you're saying, and like I'm going to be at Old Bridge on Friday night and Saturday, which is they have a 2-day holiday show, and that's a lot of Friday night show's fun. Saturday it's a small show, but great. If you like to pick and again, I know because I'm there. Don't come see me. Go to see everybody else there. I don't care. It's a great show to dig. A lot of lower price stuff, high price stuff, but you'll see some real good dealers from the area. Some big personalities come out. Like Santiago Sports usually comes. He's fantastic at the shows with Tyler and Justin and his crew. And then like Dave from Extraordinary Cards will be there. Like he's good too. So you got some really good dealers at a small show and a ton of boxes to dig through, man. Like $3 entry fee, and they even got a bar inside, man. You can order like a hamburger and a beer while you wait.
Where is this?
This is an Old Bridge at the VFW. It's great.
Is this Friday night?
Friday night and Saturday.
When is the next one?
It's this Friday night and Saturday.
Oh, okay.
So Friday night from 5 to 10. Honestly, it's like it's a small VFW show. I think there's 30 tables, but you could probably spend 2 hours in that show. And like Toast, our friend Toasty Cards is there, and a bunch of people like from New Jersey that we know that are great. The guys that run the Cardboard Carnival show, who I had a great experience with them. They set up there. My friend Pete, a lot of great dealers and guys that I've bought from for years set up there. I've always said the small show. I love the small shows. I do the big shows because it's fun. The big square setups, White Plains, Hofstra. Love the squares. But man, you're going to see me in Old Bridge this weekend, Garfield on Sunday, another small show in Old Bridge in January. I like the small show. Manahawkin. I did Manahawkin. Man, Jeff and the Manahawkin crew down there. If you can get down to Manahawkin, another 25, 30 table show. You go in there.
I know what you mean. We have a couple of those shows around here too.
You walk into the Manahawkin show, Ken, the Manahawkin show, there's moms, dads, kids all day. These kids are coming in and out. They're digging in dollar boxes. They're digging in showcases. The dads are buying cards. I sold a Gretzky rookie. I had a great day at a 9 to 2 show with 30 tables in it. I had one of the best days ever. They were spinning the wheels for kids, giving out door prizes. They had like 50 kids at the door. They were probably giving out more free stuff to the kids, and they were charging in cost to get in. And I'm like, man, how can anyone not come here? I'm telling everybody, go there to buy. Don't see me. I wasn't even there.
Yeah.
Go. Great dealers out there at these small shows. But no one goes to them anymore. They don't want to go. They want to hit these big shows. You know what? Go find your deals, the big shows, man. They're tough. Ken's at 90%. I'm at 90%.
Yeah, the smaller shows are a little tough too. I know in Connecticut, the smaller shows are good. And I attend them all the time, but recently I haven't really been coming out with anything just because I think it's the prices right now are just funny in the market and people aren't coming down. And if I'm buying it to PC it, I want to get it at a certain price. And if I'm buying it, then I'm going to put it in my case at a bigger show. I still need to get that at a price. So when I'm doing that, and I honestly, because of where the market is, I try to buy within a week to 2 weeks before a show, so I'm buying well and I can sell well. And I
don't do that. I try not to do that. I avoid that. I try to buy things that'll last, not just for the next show. I try to buy things that'll last because I don't want to do every weekend shows. I don't want to do that. I don't want to buy a card that if I can't sell it by the next show, I'm screwed. I buy stuff. I'd say 85% of my stuff I buy is stuff that if I didn't have to go to a show for a month, I'll probably be open. Comps won't help me. But like Jordan Love, getting knocked out of the playoffs, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care if John Morant, I do care about John Morant, let me rephrase, but right now I don't care about Zion Williamson. I don't care.
But I see you, Bray. You buy everything.
Not everything. I'm very picky. You see me look at everything. I look at everything. I don't buy everything. I wasn't very picky this weekend. people weren't showing us stuff. I had a few people tell me, "Oh, you're in the back of the room." Time I got to you guys, I had already sold.
Yep, sold everything, and I
But
said that to you, and I said that to John too. I said it's because John from Behind the Diamond says it's going to be a great buying weekend. I said I hope they still have something left by the time they get to our booth because like a lot of the people like you just said to me, they're like, oh yeah, I've sold so much stuff, this is what I have left, and I'm looking and I'm like, well, I can understand why nobody bought this because I don't
right.
want to buy this,
And
right?
well, what's funny though is, I mean, you and I have a different approach. I mean, I'm definitely like probably more of a character at the shows. So like if people are kind of lingering near my table, they don't, sometimes people like to stand in the aisle and not get too close or whatever. And I'll, what do you got in the briefcase?
Yeah.
Well, you just ask, show me. I'm not aggressive as a buyer, but I'm aggressive in engaging them in friendly conversation. Like, hey, what's in the briefcase? Are you selling? And they'll say, no. Or, oh yeah, you want to look? Sure. And usually it's junk, but if you don't ask, you don't see. And sometimes people are scared to like walk up and for all the times we say, how many times people walk up, are you buying? And we sometimes will say, oh my God, enough. I think that sometimes these show attendees, they know we think that. So like maybe they just want to go to where they're comfortable or the people they know. And we're stranger danger when it comes to having to communicate, right? So again, we're in a world of people that don't necessarily want to make eye contact and talk to each other and maybe have like deodorant issues. So, like some kids or adults, they don't want to walk up and say, hey, Ken, are you buying today? You kind of got to coax them and say, what do you got?
Yeah. We all
I do that with every kid or any adult kid that walks up.
Yeah.
What do you got? What do you got in your pocket? What'd you buy? Show me. You selling this?
Mm-hmm.
One kid was funny. Actually, him and his dad were pretty shrewd. I tried to buy some cards off of him. He turned around and he wouldn't sell them to me. He wanted to go sell them to John because he wanted to buy John's cards. So I was like very smart. He wanted to leverage the cards.
Sure.
He wanted to sell to me, maybe hoping John would take them down. But I know he sold cards, bought cards from John. But
some of these kids are sharks. They show up and they're sharks right away. Then there's other kids that show up and you feel like, you're really, conducting business with an adult, but it's like a 12 or 13-year-old kid. I mean, I bought
some very impressive teenage kids. A simple set. There's another kid. He's probably listening. He's at Babylon all the time. He's a big guy, 17-year-old kid. He knows he's a big Penguins fan. I don't say names if I don't have to. Big Penguins fan. He always comes and talks. He's never bought anything from me in like 7 months, but we always talk. He's a great kid. And his buddy came up. He bought some cards. 17-year-old kids. Ken, these kids are like, honestly, they are very sharp. They probably know more about the ins and outs of some of the things we will never know about or we don't want to know. In fact, I would wonder one of these days you might want to get one of these kids to come on here with us and talk about it because they might actually teach us something that we don't know about.
Probably make up more money than us.
Well, you know what's funny? I believe they probably do sometimes, but I also, I can get educated on how are you comping? What are you looking at? What apps are you using? What are you seeing? Show me, because I've had them teach me in the last 7 months everything that I can. I ask them all when I do deals with them. Show me, teach me a little more. What a trick you use? What are you seeing?
I'm telling you right now, Brad. Most of these kids, I know they use the trick that I'm a young kid and give me a deal, right? And take me under your wing and feel like you want to help me out type of thing. Because they come, they look, they talk, they come back, they know what they're doing. There's some of these kids are the best salesmen. I mean, I've dealt with salesmen in my life. Some of these kids that are 12, 13, 14, 15, they're the best salesmen I've ever seen.
I told this to you before, Ken. I said it before. A lot of these kids, this is just a start for them. The sports card thing is just the way their entry level into business. Most of these kids probably won't even messing with cards in 30 years. They're going to have the same story most people did. Oh, I love cards as a kid. But they're going to probably be so wildly successful. Again, I said it before. Get your kid involved in a hobby like this where they have to communicate with people. Doesn't matter if it's cards, comics, pop, pins, medals. Doesn't matter. Garage sailing. Do something like that. You are doing them much better justice in life than you could probably get them from a college tuition for 4 years. They do not know how to communicate. These kids are amazing that they can do this.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I wish more kids would come out just to have that's what impresses me. When I can have a 15-year-old kid not just walk up to me and ask me to buy or sell cards. Like these are kids, if we saw them in the real world, they'd be like, Hey, Mr. Ken, good to see you, sir. And now they walk up to like, we're equals with them. And in some ways I don't like that from, a father adult type thing, but from many ways, like, isn't that the respect we'd all want as an 18-year-old is to be able to walk into a room with a 40-year-old and a 50-year-old and a 60-year-old and be treated equally. We don't get that in the real world. 17, 18-year-old kid, you go show up at your first job. You don't get treated that way. But they show up at a card show with a case of cards. You and him and I and her are equal.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what I like too? I like they come back. You give them a good deal or and they come back and they
Kids
shop with you again.
The kids, in some ways, it's almost like they spread. It's almost like once one gives a good deal, they tell another. Next thing you know, you got 2 or 3 of them buying from you, and then one brings their friend over.
Come back with their friends.
Oh, this guy just made a good deal. Show them what you got. Oh, I just bought this from this guy, and they want almost like sometimes it's validation. I understand too, like the mob mentality is like, hey, I just bought a card from Ken. You come buy one too. That makes sure like it makes us all feel good that we both bought. Like. So I get that too.
Yeah. All right, man. We're coming on to an hour. So
we can probably do 3 hours tonight, Ken.
I know. We had a lot. We're gonna have to do this again. Couple of shout outs. Homer Sports Cards. He came by. He always comes by. Great guy. Hang out. I met this guy, Bob Groff. He is a principal in I believe it's New York. I don't know where he's a principal at, but he runs a show. He runs a little show in Rockaway and listens to the podcast. So I just wanted to give him a shout out. He came by, met me, and we talked for a little bit. And also there was I'm probably missing like a ton of people who came, but there was Ira who came with his son. It was kind of cool. He came, chatted for a little bit. We talked about some cards. His son came by, and I just thought to myself, and just kind of what you said, I just love to see when the father and sons have
a lot of that this weekend,
this in common. And this was one of those weekends where a lot of, and it was really great. And I want to say this, like the kids are involved and they're showing up with the parent, whether it be a mother or father, and the parents are just like, it's all him or it's all her, right? It's not me. They know what they're doing. I'm driving them. I'm getting them here. I'm hanging out with them. I'm spending the time with my child, right? And
great. But also as a smart parent, and in the world that we are in the sports car world, we also know that there are a lot of people that are terrible people and cutthroat and nasty. So as a parent, I would not let my 12-year-old go to a card show with, $2,000 or $3,000 worth of inventory and make deals with. There's a lot of Brads and Kens and a lot of people like that, but there's also some that are not. Yep. And as a parent, you should at least be within striking range of these kids at these shows with the amount of money they're dealing with. There's always someone that's looking to get over on a kid and they don't care. So, for all the parents listening out there, let them have their space. This is great. But just,
keep an eye on them.
Just keep one eye. Don't let them running off these shows with $10,000 in cards and maybe not have a clue about it,
Yeah. Good. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, I actually just want to show you the coolest card I picked up this weekend. It was a Rory McIlroy dual golf rookie auto gold script with Graham McDowell. Rare card. I picked this up. I told I was going to show the card to Love High-End Golf Basketball. We had this guy, Ken, you were busy, showed me, you guys follow him on Instagram, some of these cards. This guy's Jordan and Tiger Woods stuff that I don't care if you like cards or not. You look at this stuff, it'll blow your mind. And of course, our buddy Joe in between us, who was very hospitable and watching our tables. Joe's not a big Instagrammer, not a big guy out there in the world, but Joe is awesome, and he is a good friend to have. We all need friends like that in the hobby who we can trust with everything. And Ken, you are also one of those guys, and I appreciate you for helping me out this weekend.
Yeah, likewise, man. I feel the same about you. All right, look, have a happy holiday.
Same to you.
And what's the next show you're doing? Oh, this weekend, right?
Old Bridge this weekend. Yep. Garfield Sunday. Right after the new year, you will see me at this other Old Bridge show, small show, and then you'll start to see me again at the big 3-day White Plains show, the Square with Behind the Diamond. That is my favorite show. I make the best deals at White Plains, baby. So if you come to White Plains and you find me and you're looking to buy some stuff, if we can't make a deal, that's on you guys, baby.
All right, kid. You know what? I don't have anything scheduled now until Culture Collision in Atlanta, but I probably I will probably come up with something in That's at the end of January. I know I can't do the White Plains. I have something going on that weekend, but I might be able to get down there and do some shopping. Probably maybe walk it, unless John
Oh
has.
man, I might have to invest in a lifeguard chair for that show. So when
Yeah,
you show up, I
yeah.
just put it up
Unless
and
John
go.
has a 1-day table down there, because I know that I have something going on that week. That's the weekend, the 19th, right?
Yes, and you'll be
Y-
sorely missed, Ken, because we need
Yeah,
you there, and
yeah,
that's important for me. I need someone to abuse all weekend.
yeah. Well, who knows? Things may change, but I don't think so.
I know.
All right, look, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please definitely subscribe. Oh, you know what? I can't do that just yet. I want to announce for Thursday's episode, great interview with Ezra Levine, CEO of Mascot. So that episode will be on Thursday. So tune in for that. That was an awesome interview. Now, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please definitely subscribe. And most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. And until next time, take care of yourselves and everyone around you.